Hello and welcome to the Plot Twist podcast. My name is Catherine, and I'm coming to you from Berlin, Germany, which is where I grew up and where I now live with my husband and our 3 kids. This is a slow fashion podcast focusing primarily on knitting. And I'm so glad that you're here to hang out with me for a little bit. I'm excited to be back. I have a few fun new projects here with me, new cast-ons. And one new cast on and one that you've already seen, but I made some progress on it. Thank you for checking out the podcast or for coming back if you're a returning viewer. So welcome back. And let's get started. Okay, let's jump right in. Today, I do not have a finished object to show you because, I don't know, just because you don't always finish things, right? I have been knitting a ton. And it's been giving me great comfort and it's been bringing me joy. But I have worked on things pretty monogamously even, but I haven't finished something, and that is perfectly okay. I am wearing a finished object, which you may recognize. Hold on. So why not start with the what I'm wearing segment, right? But you will know what I'm wearing. Oh, by the way, if I'm looking up, it's because just like last time around, I wanted to say last week, but I think it's been about 2 weeks now, that I last spoke to you. So it was about time that I came back. I had to upload the video screen, whatever it's called, the camera screen, onto our TV, which is up there. So that is like last time not a perfect solution. It's just the solution that I have now and the one I need to go with. So that's my setup for today. So whenever I look up and it's weird, it's because I'm looking at the screen to check if you actually can see something. So, and this is my stripes sweater, like Chelsea says, my stripes sweater, because it's all in caps. That I talked about at greater length in past episodes, and I'm going to all the things that I talk about, I'm going to leave down in the description box below. I may, now that I've forgotten it, also say where you can find me. You can find me as Katharina Knits on Instagram. Again, I'm leaving this down in the description box for you, so you can go check it out if you want to, and give me a follow if you feel like it. And I am Frau Christ on Ravelry. Also, I'm not going to spell it out for you. I'm going to leave it down below. And whatever I talk about, you can find all the projects and whatnot, and pattern and yarn and all those things down below in the info box. So yeah, right. And I may also leave just a link to like past episodes or whatever, or you can go just check them out. That it's only 4 other episodes, so it's not too much to go through, where I talk about the sweater. So this is like my husband said, it's a Christmas sweater, and I immediately saw it when he said it. I didn't see it before, but it's Christmas colors, like these stripes, right? So now this is my Christmas sweater, and I know it's only the middle of September, but I'm still wearing it because it's new and because I like it, and because I think when October starts, and October is about to start in not even 2 weeks' time, is that right? Yeah. It takes me a few minutes to think about these things, right? When October starts, for me, Christmas season kind of starts. So why not now, right? So I am wearing my seasonal sweater, and I've only just finished it a few weeks ago. And oh yes, and I told you that I was somewhat unsure of whether it was long enough. And then I washed it, gave it a soak, and just let it fletch to dry. And it turns out it was the right amount, just the right length of sleeves, so they go like this. I usually prefer my sleeves to be a bit longer, but with this particular fit, it's quite snug, and it's kind of a sweatshirty little cuff here. That's a good length. Also, I don't find myself rolling up the sleeves when I do like wash up or bathe the kids, or do those things that you do when you have little ones around. So that's good. Like that comes in handy. Usually I automatically gravitate towards longer sleeves, but I didn't here, and has worked out very well for me. So that was something I was concerned about, but didn't have to be because it turned out just perfectly. And the only thing that this has is, which doesn't bother me at all, it's, see, the sleeves are set lower than your armpits. So this is where my armpit would be, right here. So, and the sweater goes down to here. It looks like a lot, it isn't though, because it's not a kind of Caitlin Hunter situation where you lift your arms and your entire sweater goes up all the way. You know, it's not that bad. So I can still maneuver around the kids and stuff and still feel like the sweater kind of stays in place. It's a very sweatshirty thing, I feel like. And it's perfect for this weather where it's cooled down considerably. So we are, somewhere between 11 and 20 degrees Celsius, which I don't know what that would be in Fahrenheit, but that is not, it's not very warm. It's really fall weather. So that's just the right weight. This is all fingering weight yarns if you're interested in what this is. I'm going to link everything for you. You can go check out on my Ravelry page. I'm not going to bore you with, if you've been sticking around for the other episodes, with a repetition of like all the colorways. But this is just fingering weight yarn, nothing super heavy, nothing super warm. So just right for, not warm, definitely, but not like, I'm not toasting. This is, the only thing is that this is pilling quite a lot. I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to try and show you. Can you? No, you can't really. Maybe down here you can see how this is a little pilly. Can you see how this is a little pilly? Sorry for covering my mouth. Well, speaking, so yeah, I'm going to have to glean this after the next wash. And let's see if the pilling comes back. Sometimes you glean something once and then that's that. But it's a wool sweater. It's what happens. With superwash merino, it happens faster than with other yarns, but I knew that, so that's okay. And on that note, speaking about the striped sweater, I'm going to jump right into my whips segment. I'm going to talk about my works in progress because I have cast on another striped sweater. Oh, I can show you my project bag. Hold on. See this? This is a project bag that I have sewn earlier this year. This is actually from a tutorial from Nicole of Hugh Loco. I'm going to link the tutorial below. It's if you know how to sew a straight line on your machine, then you can make this bag. You know, it's easy peasy. It's a very easy to sew project, and I am very impatient with sewing. So if I can do this, you can do this. It's not that I am a bad sewer or seamstress or whatever the word is, but I'm not patient with it. It's a process that demands so much patience from me. It's not for me really. But a project bag is within my means. That's okay. I could do that. I did. To get rid of some of my fabric stash. I'm sorry, I think today is a day where I go looking for words, even if they're really easy words like fabric. It's happened to me before today that some words wouldn't really, come, and I had to ponder for a second or two, so bear with me, I'm sorry. Yeah, so anyway, this is the project bag, and this is the project. I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to tell you what everything is, but this is easier said than done because this is all a little scrunched up just because it's so small. How can I do this? Okay, I'm going to try. See? This way. So, this is the small, humble beginning. Maybe I can show you like this. Oh, that might be much better. This is the humble beginning of my striped sweater, number 2. I tend to knit things more than once if I like them, just because it's fun. And this sweater has turned out to be just the perfect throw-on sweater. It's, you can put it on like just any other garment. It's not a hand knit sweater that you need to be fuzzy with, but you can just put it on and go about your day. It's a very I don't know, easy, comfortable, easy peasy. And I thought, okay, perfect. This is also a stash buster project. Obviously here I have one main color that I carry throughout, so I needed a little more of that color, and not just enough for like 1 or 2 stripes, which I don't. Yeah, with red, I wanted to say wouldn't do it anyways with red. Just add like 1 or 2 stripes. But then again, I always say this is red. It isn't. It is like a berry violet purpley color. And having said that, I think I would throw it in, even if only for a stripe or 2. Don't mind me talking. This is just, it was just this thought that I had, but it's just rubbish. So yeah, I am knitting. I cast on for the, no, hold on. I went for the option, for the version with the folded over collar, just like here. So you do a provisional cast on with a crochet hook, and then pick up your stitches, knit the 2x2 ribbing. See? Right? Knit the 2x2 ribbing, and then knit twice the length that the collar is going to be, fold it over to the inside, and then take out the provisional cast on so that you have 2 sets of live stitches on your needles, and then you knit them together, like one of the cast on stitches with one of the stitches on your needle, and then you create a folded over collar so that it stands up a little bit or has a little bit of structure, is not as flimsy. Right, so that's what I did, just like with this one. And I just follow the pattern. It tells you where to change colors. It tells you, what to do for your short row shaping, because there's a little bit of short row shaping hidden in the back, where the individual stripes are a tiny little bit bigger as opposed to the front, but it's hardly a thing. Like, you don't really realize it when you see the sweater, right? I see it because I know that it's there. And I went with a 3mm needle for the cast on, and then for the main needle for the body, I use a 3.5mm needle. I'm a loose knitter, so yeah, so I tend to have a little smaller needle. Yeah, and that's that. I can tell you a little something about the colors, because this is actually kind of a Homespun House, or my Homespun House sweater, my Homespun House stripes scrappy sweater. Because I think everything but one tiny scrap in my bag, where I've collected all the yarns that I think I'm going to use for that sweater, are from a Homespun House. Molly from a Homespun House. Oh man, why is this so hard to say? Molly of a Homespun House. There you go. This color, the first one for the collar, is the only full skein that I bought for this project, and it looks like like this. Isn't that gorgeous? Jewel tony goodness. Oh man, jewel tones is just my favorite bar none. So it's purples and teals and more purples and dark pinks and more teals. So this is just right up my alley. This is her colorway Dementor's Kiss in the plump merino base. And I bought a sock set, which I don't ever do, but for this one I did. It went along, or it came with the coordinating mini that Molly dyed green, which on camera it looks a little more yellowy green than it actually is, but it is a yellow green, which is why I'm definitely not putting it up somewhere in the yoke, but rather further down in the body, because a yellow green does not work for me at all. I can only work with like blue greens. I mean, I can wear whatever I want. I'm not one of these people who are like, oh, you have to like choose your clothing so that it's flattering or that the colors fit you, look good on you, and blah blah blah. Whatever you like looks good on you. Like if you're a winter type like me, like a skin type, and you love a yellow green, wear it, because it's going to look awesome on you if you love it, and if no matter your skin tone, right? It's not a color I usually would gravitate towards, right? It's not a color I love. I love greens, but blue greens. So, and it just so happens that I think those blue greens suit me better. But so what? If I loved it, I would wear it anyways, even, as a first color. But yeah, which is just to say, like, yeah, I know. I sometimes say like earth tones. They make me look super pale, and they do, and I don't like that. I just don't like it. But if you're a pale person like me and you love wearing earth tones, don't feel like there is any sort of comment from my side, because there really isn't. Wear all the colors that you want. Wear yellow, for the love of God. If you love yellow, wear it, knit with it, enjoy all those colors. Like, don't even think twice about it. If you've been thinking, oh, I would love to wear yellow or pink or whatever, and whatever color you like, but I don't think it suits me, just wear it, because I mean, life's too short to even think about it twice. Yeah, I learned that from Amy of La Bien-Aimée, and she was so right. And then I thought, oh my God, she's absolutely right. To hell with all those kind of rules that we have in our minds, right? But anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about. This is the Dementor's Kiss colorway by Molly of the Homespun House, which is a little dark, and it's pretty dark here today. So I don't know that this is a good color representation, I'm sorry, but in the future there may be better light, or I'll snap a good picture for Instagram or whatever. This is the Juniper colorway that Molly dyed. This is what's it called? An Advent mini. See, these are words that are hard for me today to remember. So that's an Advent mini, which I am debating whether it makes a clear stripe, because it's so variegated. Oh, I never realized that the purple runs all the way across and up. Interesting. I didn't see that before. Oh, not that it matters, but I just didn't see. See, that's the other side, and it does the same thing. Oh, that's actually kind of neat, maybe, because the other colors do that too. Maybe that gives it more of a stripe, the definition of a stripe in that sweater. Huh. Interesting. Well, all those things you can discover when you look on things on camera, right? Anyway, that is an Advent calendar mini from last year, and I don't know what it's called. And it doesn't matter anyway, because she doesn't dye them outside of the Advent calendar. And then this, oh no, I lied before. There's another yarn that is not a Homespun House. And that's this one. This gray stripe right here that's about to end in a row or two is from my other Advent calendar from last year, that my friend Claire from Australia, hi, gave me, and that is Lolo Did It. So that's another colorway. What is it called? It had an interesting name. I don't remember. Ah, goodness, and the tag is not here with me. I don't remember. I'm sorry. But anyway, this is Lolo Did It, and all the others, I can show you all the other colors that I have assembled. Hold on, this is Purl and Knit. This is not a Homespun House. So there's quite a lot of this yarn that may go into this project that apparently I know nothing about now that I, look at my yarn. Oh, this is a mini that I've had for a long time. I think it was in 2017 or 18 advent calendar from a Homespun House. And look at those colors. I'm not sure that it does it justice on camera. I love this colorway. There's a tiny little bit of silver Stellina sparkle in there, and it's just such beautiful colors. I've been looking for the perfect project for this one forever, and now I feel like it's going to make some gorgeous, one or two gorgeous stripes. I'm weighing my stripes as I go for in case I'm ever going to make this project again, so I'm kind of a nerd like that. I'm going to also eventually indicate the amounts of yarn that I used for every stripe on my Ravelry page. Not that it matters for anyone else who knits it, because it depends on gauge and on your size that you're knitting. I'm knitting a size 3. I don't know that anyone else would necessarily benefit from it, but if I was to ever knit that again, I could, can check there. And I do go to my old Ravelry pages to find out information for like needle size and whatnot. So as a favor to me, I'll leave all the numbers there. It's hard indicating every yarn because it's so many scraps, but I'm going to leave just the amount of yarn that I used in the end, I think. Something like that. Anyway, so this is... What is this? Something from an advent calendar. Like a little purple or lilac yarn. This is the Comfort colorway by Molly. Oh, it comes across as very pink. It's a berry tone. It is actually kind of, now you can see better. It's like this colorway, but lighter. This is not a Homespun House, but the Living Path. And this one is just very similar, but lighter and a little bit brighter. Then there is the green that I showed you. There is Frida Fuchs yarn, so not a Homespun House again. The blue sparkle. Oh. Doesn't quite focus, but it's a blue silver Stellina that you've seen in last week's the last episode. By Frida Fuchs is the dyer team. This is Wacholderbeere in the Lametta colorway. And then there is this, hold on, this stripe color that I have leftovers of. Another mini from last year's Homespun House Advent Calendar. In a pretty earth tony color, like pinks, but also ochre. And I wouldn't know what to do with this, except put a stripe of it here and there, because like maybe one in the main body and then a sleeve stripe each. That's what I'm thinking, because more would be too much for me. But if I embed it in a sort of sequence of other colors that are more like my colors, like a dark purple, for example, or like, I don't know what, a tealy green or something like that, like the juniper, the juniper colorway that I just knit into the sweater, which is this little green, then it kind of works because it's more of a color for me. Like it's not as earth tony, but it's more of a color, right? If that makes any sense, I don't know. Anyway, oh, this is beautiful. Another Advent mini. Jewel tones, right? Jewel tones galore in this bag. This is that's the one yarn that I said in the beginning was not a Homespun House, even if I've uncovered that this is not true at all. This is gray and green from this is also called The Mentor's Kiss, from the 3rd year Harry Potter Advent Calendar by Christy and Tristan, Yarn Cafe Creations and Dragon Horde Yarn. So I don't know who of the two dyed it, mother or daughter, but this is them. Where does this come from? I don't know, but it's this exact color, but not the same yarn. That's the stripe, the very colorful stripe that I've just knit into my other sweater. This is so precious to me. Oh man, so way before the pandemic, I don't know when that was, 2017 maybe? I don't know. When I ordered I think, like one of my first skeins of a Homespun House. That was when she was still living in Berlin, prior to her move, and then before she came back, obviously. So when she was still living in Berlin, I ordered this, and this was Christmas at Hogwarts colorway years ago. And had I known how much I would love this, I would have ordered like 5 skeins. I only have one, and this is the very last bit. I mean, it doesn't look all that intricate, but it's very light pinks. The lightest specks of green in there. And then darker specks of green, and then like berry green, and then there are light yellowy speckles, but ever so few. It's so gorgeous. If I could have more of this skein and it was a one-time only thing, if I could have more of this colorway, that's what I wanted to say, I would buy a whole bunch because it's so amazing. And I actually knit it into the project as like the 4th or the 3rd stripe, so the 4th color where the gray now is, and I'm not even really super happy with the gray because what am I doing? Everything is shown on the TV in reverse, so that's why I maneuver stuff around and it goes into all the wrong direction, right? Sorry. So this is the gray. I feel like it is not a stark enough contrast. Maybe I'm going back and to insert a darker color in here because I think it would work better. And I had this color in here after this very busy color. And let me put it that way. It wasn't really clear where one stripe ended and the other began. And it somehow looked confusing to the eye, and I had imagined it to be different, but I didn't enjoy it. Like, I thought this is going to mess up the entire thing right at the beginning in the yoke, so I ripped it out. Here it is. It's just 7.5 grams, so I'm going to hope it's going to be enough for one sleeve each, like a stripe on every sleeve. Yeah, fingers crossed for that, but that's at least the plan. And that's another, oh, they're all tangled, but that's another tiny and old advent calendar mini, which has like greens and dark blues and light blues in it, and a tiny little bit of purple. And that's my color palette for the sweater. Tell me what you think. What do you think about this gray stripe? Looking at it on camera, I'm not so sure. I mean, maybe it depends on which stripe comes next. But no, this is not really what I was going for. Maybe I should go back and insert another color. Or maybe I should take this busy color out because it would be an easier fit further down. What am I doing? It's hard. That's better. I feel like I'm setting a tone with these first 2 colors. And if it weren't for the next 2, you would expect other colors, wouldn't you? Oh, I think I will have to go and take this out. Can you please help me? What would you do? So if you have comments on this, suggestions, please leave them in the comments because I really do appreciate advice in this matter because I don't really know where to go from here. And yeah, so that's that. For better or for worse, this is my striped sweater. I'm going to figure out the sequence, and also getting into this project, I thought I want this to be an easy, mindless project. I don't want to be fussy with the stripes. But then I know it's going to bother me when the stripes look weird and unevenly distributed. That's what I mean by weird. I wanted to go for more of a solid color, speckly, more of a solid variegated, right? So that two variegated colors next to each other, sometimes they make me, I want to say a little nervous. That's putting it strongly, but I like for a little bit of busy and then to have like something to call to like for something soothing, right? And then, you know, busyness and then calm. That's sort of what I was going for. I don't know if this makes any sense to you at all. It doesn't necessarily always make sense to me, but that's what I've got myself into. So somehow I have to maneuver my way around this. Oh, you may recognize this project bag. Ta-da! This looks weird with that with that thing. I might go and tuck it in a little bit, but anyway, so this is my project bag that I've sewn out of my grandmother's apron that I never used. I've had it forever and I never used it. And so oh, see, I haven't yet fixed this thing here. Doesn't matter, but I'm using this project bag. So if you recall, if you've been with me for a few episodes, then you will remember this. Sorry, I feel like I'm a little scattered today and my English is kind of all over the place. So please bear with me and excuse me for being a bit of a mess today. Where's the actual project? Hold on. I had left the actual blanket on the table. Not on the table, but in a different bag by the table. Anyway, you don't care about that. So I'm talking about the jelly roll blanket. You may remember that I finished this bad girl right here, my Cozy Memories blanket, after a mere 4.5 years. And now I have started another blanket because I talked about how at greater length. So if you're interested, check out the last video. I talked about how scrappy blankets give me comfort and are like, I love the play with color and are just also an exercise in, well, mindfulness really, or what's the word? Modesty maybe, or whatever it is, whatever you may want to call it, the mindset that I have enough. I have what I need. I don't need to run around and buy stuff like a crazy woman. I have what I need usually, most of the times, right? And I can create something beautiful with the things that I have, and even more so with the things that are left over, like with those bits that sometimes people don't know what to do with, like leftover yarn of different size, like a teeny tiny yarn ball or like a 30-gram yarn ball. You can create something beautiful with those bits and pieces. It can be playful, like it can be our adult element of play, right? Because we need to play. We just need to play. It's just that we don't really often think about it because our busy lives and our everyday lives don't account for playtime, right? But this is my playtime, knitting a blanket. A scrappy blanket, knitting a scrappy blanket, because that for me is really key. Had I bought, I said this last time, but I'm going to repeat it. Had I bought just like 12 skeins of fingering weight yarn and knit my Cozy Memories blanket with it, it would not have been the same as playing with the leftovers and waiting for new leftovers to accumulate or to come in and to like distribute them across the blanket. You know, that process, that patchworky element was just what made the project so incredibly fun for me. And I think it's going to be the same with this one. And I think for the rest of my life, I'm going to have a scrappy blanket on the go because it's just the best thing in the world. And I explained to you before, so I'm knitting the jelly roll blanket, which is designed by Kay Jones with the Bakery Bears, which is knit of, like, you knit one strip in garter stitch, just back and forth, like a scarf. And then you knit the next strip of the same length and same, or you could even have them be a different width, come to think of it. And then you patchwork knit them together on the seam, and you create a visible seam. That is a feature element, right? And then the third and the fourth and the fifth and so on and so forth until you want to stop. So yeah, and I chose this pattern inspired by Chelsea of Chelsea Makes, or because I'm a patron of hers, or the Legacy Fiber Arts. No, yeah, Legacy Fiber Arts podcast. And I thought, so I'm going to show you and then I'm going to tell you what I thought. So I have 2 strips completed and the 3rd is started. So there you go. This is the seam running through the middle. See? Right. So that's, whoops. Ooh, that's what I have so far. And that's where I'm adding in my 3rd stripe. See? It's all a mess today. I'm so sorry. But so I have completed 2 and I'm beginning to knit the 3rd. And so my reasoning with color was the following. I didn't want for it to be scrappy in the sense like my Cozy Memories blanket was. Like there was just no plan with which color goes where. Like I would just think, oh, so I have 2 darker colors. I may now choose a more vibrant, lighter one. But here I wanted, because I figured it would end up being very busy, because also the Cozy Memories squares are all the same size. So there is a structure. There is a sort of a method to the madness. But here, I'm really planning on using up every scrap until it's gone, right? I'm not having, like, I'm not going to deal with a 15-gram ball and I'm only going to need 9 grams, like with my granny squares, not granny, Cozy Memory squares. And then I'm going to deal with like 6 grams that are left over that I don't know what to do with because it's not enough for another square. So I would knit all of those 15 grams in here, right? Which is why I have a long portion of this sparkly yarn and a very small portion of like this brighter, and also these that are obviously smaller leftovers, right? So yeah, I'm using up everything, and I thought that if I use the scraps like kind of all the colors all over the place, it's going to be very, very busy. And I didn't know, which is not bad, but I just didn't know that I wanted that. And also I thought my color palette, kind of the sort of scraps that I have, scrap colors that I have, are not similar enough. So it's going to be, how can I put this? Like, they're not going to be like all one family, but they're going to be so dissimilar that it will actually be very busy, and that would account for the busyness of the blanket, which is also a style and you can totally go with that. It's just not what I was going for. And I thought, okay, so how can I master that, sort of, or find a way around that without having to fuss, you know, because I don't want this to be a headache. And then I thought, okay, why don't I try and assemble the colors a little bit, you know, beforehand, like legs and legs together. Like, why don't I just knit a blue tealy strip, which I've done here, right? So, and why don't I add a gray strip? There's pink in there, there's green in there, I don't care. But it's overall gray colors. And I thought in the grand scheme, when the thing is bigger or even finished, so in 4.5 years time, but I'm making headway. So maybe it's not going to be that long. I keep telling that myself now because I'm so like in love with the new project, but you know, once I'm on a kick with my jumper and have figured out the stripes, I just have to rearrange them. I feel like I'm uncomfortable with the way that they are. Once I figured out this thing, I'm going to work more on this and less on that blanket, and that's going to be the end of that story. So we're going to talk about this again like in December and then in April, and it's, you know, and it's going to live the life of a scrappy project, and that's totally fine. But well, anyways, why am I telling you this? So I collected kind of like colors together. And I thought I was going to have a decent amount of pink in my stash, which surprisingly enough I don't. And this is really a head scratcher for me because I don't know how this could happen. I thought pink and purple might have been, or blue probably, might have been like my strongest, might have been represented the most sort of in my stash. They're not. Weird. I don't know why, but totally fine. I mean, I don't care. I thought, okay, so I still want this a pink stripe now because I just have it in my mind that it might look nice. So this is the first little scrap that's going in there, gray and pink, which is a Dragon Horde from the Dragon Horde yarn. And man, this is always hard for me. Yarn Cafe Creations Advent Calendar. So that's left over from that one, and I have I have scraps from the sweater. This is hard to show, but this used to be a sock that I'm ripping out. Mondim sock yarn. See? A pink sock yarn. A mini that I got from my friend Francie. Hi. That's going in there. This is, I think, a Homespun House yet again. But I don't care because Molly's yarn is always delicious. And then there's, I don't know if this is going in there because it's so gray. Doesn't focus, but gray and purple or lilac or whatever this is. And then there is a gray and white thing with like pinks in there. I think this is Madeline Tosh. And like other bits and pieces. A teeny tiny leftover. Nothing gets thrown away. And another, oh, this is a different color. No, that's not an accurate representation. This is sort of a violet color, not pink at all. Much more blue than on screen. Anyway, so and this I'm debating putting this color in, which is more red. Come to think of it, not as pink. And I mainly put it in here because I don't quite know what else to do with it. It ended up being the border on the I-code border on my Cozy Memories. I'll see how much yarn I need at the end of that strip, or when I've used up all the other scraps, and then I'll determine that. And I have in my apron bag collected other bags, as you do. And there is a small assembly of colors in there. So, this is a bag with, my Stephen West bag is full of oranges, which interestingly enough, I have a handful of. Yellows and oranges. See? So this is Nicole C. Mendez. This is Advent Calendar. This is the Dragon Horde Yarn Advent Calendar. This is just some scrap from something I knit for my kids. Another Dragon Horde Yarn bit. Care of Magical Creatures, it's called. A beautiful colorway that I knit into a sweater for my boys. Hold on, is it here? I can go fetch it and show you because it's so beautiful. This is Fool's Gold. You may know it from Hedgehog Fibers. Fool's Gold. A yellow. My, at the time, I think 3-year-old son. 3? Yeah, he was 3. My oldest son. So there you go. That was a focus. So when my oldest son was 3, he picked out Fool's Gold, the colorway by Hedgehog Fibers, in a yarn store, and said, I wanted a sweater out of this. And I thought, because in another yarn store on that same day, he picked out La Bien Aimée. And I thought, okay, so you know, you recognize the good yarn, right? The fun yarn. And I thought it would send such a weird message to say, no, honey, you're 3 years old. You're just going to ruin the sweater that I bought the hedgehog for, right? And I don't think at that point I'd ever knit with hedgehog fibers before. I don't know. But I thought, okay, so yeah, it's a bit expensive, but he appreciates the yarn. He chose the color, and he's a redhead, so he can pull off that yellow. And I thought, well, why not? And how about not knitting a whole yellow sweater, but just put it in a yoke? And I'm going to get the sweater in a second to show you, because I've just taken it out of the cupboard and put it in the boys' drawers for fall. So that would actually be a perfect time to show you. But it's also part of a collection, because I have knit one of these sweaters for each of my kids and one for myself. So I'm going to show you also in a future episode. That would be fun for like a fall episode, to show you all of those sweaters. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. But so I thought, okay, so if he picks this color and he loves it and he wants to have it, I cannot argue. Like, I cannot say, no, this is such a good yarn, I'm not going to buy this and make a kid sweater out of it. So I said, okay, so we're going to buy one strand and knit it in a sweater, not just one sweater out of this entirely. And he really enjoyed it a lot. Now the sweater is too small for him, and he's passed it on to his younger brother, so he's excited to be wearing it soon, I guess. This is where I keep all the greens, apparently. I'm just going to show them to you quickly. This is, again, this one. It's a big scrap. I'm not going to use up all of this. There you go. Not all of this either, but there's green in there. This is from my Radvent sweater. Sorry, I try to not cover my mouth on screen. There is this green. And then a whole bunch of tiny scraps that I try to somehow put in there. A little snake. All of this is so pretty. This must have been an advent calendar mini. I don't know where it went. I think in my daughter's baby blanket is where it went. Yeah, that's kind of what I have assembled here. Greens. Okay, so that's going to be a green stripe eventually. Maybe after the pink. Pink and green together is always very nice, I think. I always enjoy those together. Oh, and then I have leftovers of the gray assembled in there, and after that, so when I've knit the pink and the green and the orange, I'm going to have to go diving for more yarn, or more yarn will have found its way, and I have more yarn in the house that I can use for this. Don't you worry, but I'm going to, collect more scraps then and not now. This was just a selection when I was like so excited about sorry, I'm maneuvering this in front of the camera. But when I was so excited about casting on something new, and so I collected a few collections. I collected a few collections of yarn. Hold on a second while I get that other sweater. So, perfect, because this is actually not just a match in terms of colors because of the yellow that I used for the sweater and that I'm going to use for the blanket, but for the names also match. This is the Jelly Roll blanket that I just cast on and I'm knitting on, and this is a Jelly Roll sweater. So the Jelly Roll sweater is what I knit 4 of. The first was for me, then I knit one for my second son, then the first one wanted one, and I knit this one, which is now passing on to the middle son. And then I knit one for my baby daughter, but it ended up never quite fitting her because it was a little bit too long, and also because it would have fit her in summer. That as easy as that. So, well, some other kid is going to to get it, maybe in the family or, you know, friends. I don't know. It's going to be worn somehow, I guess. That's it. I'm going to shut up and show you the sweater. So, and you can see this beautiful yellow up here. And this blue, this light blue up here and down here was a mini from, a 20-gram mini from that Hogwarts, no, that Harry Potter calendar, you know, the Dragon Hoard Yarn and Yarn Cafe Creations one. And the same goes for that blue color in here. And for the main body, I chose Mondim sock yarn. I don't know the colorway, but this blue, this is Mondim sock yarn, which I enjoy that yarn immensely. It's just that I bought 2 balls and one of those was considerably thicker than the other, so that even if this has been washed, so it's not as easy to see, but you can tell. See, this is the lighter one, and this is where I split for the sleeves, and so the sleeves proper were knit in a different, in that other yarn ball, and see how it's much. Can you see this? I should take my hand out. See, I think you can see how this. Hold on, how this is. The thicker strand of yarn, and this is the thinner one. The stitch definition is just a little different. See? There is a ridge right here. See that? Maybe I see it because I know it's there, but it bothered me when I knit it. And you can actually, from further away, might be able to tell. I can, yeah. See? Can you see that line right where I separate for the sleeves? You can actually see a line. And it, well, I thought, okay, so it's going to be a kid's sweater and it's a hand knit, so it is what it is, right? But it did bother me a little bit. I was a little bit disappointed, especially because I really loved the yarn and I got 2 balls that when I knit them, I thought, oh, hold on, is this the same yarn? Like, did I buy the right thing? And I did, but yeah. But now the boys were very excited when I pulled this out of storage. And isn't that, oh, I think it is so beautiful. This yoke is easy to knit. And in its simplicity, it is still intricate and fun, engaging to knit, like you don't get bored. And you do have to pay attention with this stripe because I tended to mess up here on almost every sweater. Those 4. But isn't it fun? Doesn't it look so nice? Like, I love these sweaters so much, and I am so happy that my son picked this gorgeous yellow. I must have knit it into something else because this can only be such a small portion of the entire skein. But anyway, so this is the jelly roll episode, I assume. So yay. A blast from the past. Oh no, hold on. I wanted to start talking about books, but no. We are not done here because there is another work in progress. And I can tell you, these are my Rainbow Connection socks. And I finished one sock, which I'm going to show you in a second. And I cast on the second one yesterday, I think. So it's just a tiny little cuff. And this is my a stitch mark, progress keeper that I made. There you go. Now it focuses. With a crown. I have another one of these in yellow. So this is sort of an salmony orange, and I have another yellow crowned progress keeper. And yes, maybe I thought of the queen when I put this on because I thought, it's weird. Just, I'm not overly emotional about this. It's just that it's a weird thought that there is no more queen in Europe. Like, the queen is gone. Like, this is weird. And I thought, why not commemorate or acknowledge her with that tiny little stitch marker. Anyway, so I finished the first sock, the first Rainbow Connection sock, and here it is. And no, I don't have a sock blocker, which I now realize why podcasters do have sock blockers. Because socks are a little bit floppy, right? So that's it. That's the thing. That's the sock. I'm glad that this berry red color kind of comes back here. I knitted toe cuff down. Sorry, I'm such a mess today. I cast on with a German twisted cast on, or also known as Old Norwegian, with a 2.5 millimeter needle. And immediately on the second round, or sometimes I forget and it's the third, but it doesn't matter anyways, I switched to a 2.25 millimeter needle, knit a 2x2 ribbing, knit this entire pattern, which I'm going to leave down below for you, the link, so that if you feel like knitting it, you know where to find it. So that's the instep, that's the back of the foot. Oh, very crumply. I knit a heel flap and gusset and decreased for the toes, and then I Kitchenered the entire thing together, which is like grafting the stitches together with the needle, the live stitches, so that you don't have a seam or don't pull the stitches together, which is what I usually do. But I felt I needed a smidge more room, and so you have that sort of more finished look. But I like the more rustic look of pulling the yarn through and then pulling the last 16 stitches together. I usually prefer that, but here I went with that. So yeah, and this is such a fun pattern. Isn't that so great? I really enjoy that pattern. I think it is just so fun. And so, one down, one to go. I only knit on this when I have a minute. Like when I have 10 minutes before I have to go pick up my kids, I just finished my tea, I'm gonna pull this out. If we've had breakfast on the weekend and we're just hanging for 10 more minutes, I'm gonna pull this out. Before our day gets started, or if we're on a car drive, which doesn't happen often, but then I'm going to take this, and so on. So this is that sort of project, but I do make progress, and eventually these are going to be finished, and I know my sock knitting mojo is going to come back eventually. I'm going to be on another sock knitting kick, and then I'm definitely going to finish these fast. Also, I'm not in a rush. This is just my project, my in-case project. It lives in our kitchen, so whenever I have a minute in our kitchen, I pull this out. And when they're done, and then they can be gifted, or I'll keep them. I don't know. I like to always have socks on the go, but I don't necessarily keep them because I don't need all the socks. They're just some socks that I can't part with, that I keep for myself. Right, okay, so let's talk about books. I'm still reading and I haven't made much progress. Where am I? Page 180 out of 1,000, so I haven't made much progress at all during those last 2 weeks. Talking about this novel right here. Robert Galbraith, also known as J.K. Rowling, obviously The Ink Black Heart. So this is, I think, the 6th part of this series, the Strike novels. So Cormoran Strike is the Private Eye. And he has another case to solve along with his partner, Robin. And I feel a bit foolish now for not acknowledging this earlier. I have been going on about oh, this is so great. I'm so happy that this much anticipated new book comes out of my, one of my favorite series, one of my most comfort reads, blah, blah, blah. All those things that I've said in the last few episodes. And I have not once mentioned the obvious controversy. I have issues pronouncing that word. I want to say controversy, but it's controversy around both the author and this particular series. So I do want to do that now, and I feel a little foolish just because I've kind of, it didn't occur to me to say that before, which I don't know why, because it's so obvious and I should have. So I am well aware of this controversy, and I am aware that J.K. Rowling made transphobic comments a while back. This is not new information, and this is also an issue that comes up in these novels, right? And this is puzzling to me because I don't know what happened. Like, Harry Potter is all about being different, right? And about having standing out and having that be your asset. Like, all of the heroes kind of in Harry Potter are those that don't quite fit in. Like Harry and Ron and Hermione, not just Harry, but all the others, and Luna and Neville, and also Sirius, and you know, all of them. They none of them really like fit in. You know, those that fit in and are they are never the heroes of the story. And Harry Potter has so much lessons, like so many lessons that it teaches, and is, I think, very obviously about the Holocaust with like the mudblood thing. Like, you don't fit in because you're not a pure blood, right? So that was, for me as a German at any rate, that was a clear Holocaust reference. And it's about slavery. It's about all these things, like with the house elves. I don't know. There's so many things that are being addressed in Harry Potter, and then it's about justice, and it's about friendship, and it's about accepting the other, and accepting someone's otherhood, and about like, someone's like that, all of it, just the assumption that those things that make us unique are our assets. That's what's good. That's what's valuable. That's the essence, really. And so the transphobic comments kind of go against all of this, right? And I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know why, how this can be accounted for, really. So yeah, maybe I didn't address it because I don't really know what to make of it. I don't know. I don't at all agree with J.K. Rowling making these transphobic comments in the name of feminism. I don't at all agree with that. Like, I really reject that because I don't think that is fair, and I don't think there is any connection there. You know, I'm just, this does not resonate with me at all. Like, that was my first thought when I ever read, like, that one tweet years ago that kicked the whole thing off. I think I thought, hold on a second, how is this an argument and a connection that you want to make? Like, I don't agree with that at all. I just want to say that once. And I do think, so when I thought about this, again, in preparation for, like, now that I talk about it, when I thought about this beforehand, I think, or I thought about how I think this is a structural problem too, like, because I have read all the other novels, right? And I've also read over the years, and now too, that this new book came out, articles about this controversy and about these just transphobic comments. And in the second book, apparently, and I say apparently because I honestly do not recall, there is supposed to be, there's the articles quote a scene where Cormoran Strike, so the main character, the investigator, makes a really an appropriate remark. That is also a transphobic remark. And I honestly don't remember reading that, A, because it was a long time ago, and B, because I think I tried to remember, forget everything about that second novel because I didn't like it. I really didn't like it for the case. It was a case that I was kind of disgusted by, that I enjoyed reading the book for, like, knowing what happens with the characters, but I did not enjoy reading the book for the crime novel that it was. And as soon as I finished reading it, I donated it because I didn't want it in the house anymore, because I was kind of disgusted by it. But apparently the transphobic remark that was made did not resonate with me to a degree that I would have remembered that. And in another book, there's also arguments in those articles and in this entire conversation, discourse about these novels. There's another novel that's always pointed out, which I don't know which one it is in that sequence, third, fourth, or fifth, one of those. You know, where the murderer, I think, and again, it's interesting how I enjoy the books and don't recall the storyline, but where the murderer dresses up, at least a little bit, camouflages a little bit as a woman to have more of an easy access to women that he then ends up killing, something like that. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it a bit, but it's something like that. And I'm not so sure about it because I think I'm confusing two books, but that's nothing that you can have to sort out for me. But it's just, I read this book and the book in question, and I again don't remember being very much held up by that fact because I didn't construe it as this homophobic. When I read the literature on this, like the articles that I read on this and people's comments, other writers who've commented on this, I feel like, yes, I understand exactly what they're saying, and how did I not realize this? And I think the thing is it's a case of structural transphobia, just like we're dealing with structural racism, which often people don't realize that they behave in racist ways because they're so embedded in our cultures and structurally embedded that we are not raised to be aware of them, so that it becomes so important that we educate ourselves to become aware of all the injustices that we help maintain, not knowing that we do it, but it's because it's just a cultural apparatus that is kind of behind it, if that makes sense to you. And I think the same is happening here with transphobia. And it's a good thing that I thought about this again or in these terms, because I think I need to educate myself more on this and how structural transphobia, like how transphobia is like structurally embedded in our culture or cultures, and also like be more consciously aware of this, because somehow it happened that I read over some of those passages, and I'm not proud to say this, but it has, and or that I realized but didn't feel quite as alarmed, if that's the right word. I don't know, appalled. You know what I mean, right? And it's up to me to change that, quite obviously. And yet I think it's a structural thing. Like all of us need to work on being more sensitive with these things, right? So I do want to apologize for going on. Like this is one of my favorite series, and I was so looking forward to this much anticipated read, and I can't wait, and I'm going to be so obsessed with it. For putting only this out and not being reflective of like all the other things, or specifically the transphobia that is attached to the author's name and apparently also pervades at least two of the novels, right? So yeah, if you've felt offended by that, by my neglect of, to point that out, or to, say something about this, I really do want to apologize. I did not mean to kind of brush over this, and yet I have. It was not intentionally done, and I try and be better about this in the future, because it is a topic that I find very important, and I don't know where that where like her utterances, like J.K. Rowling's tweets are just standpoints, or come from. Like, it doesn't make sense to me when it, like I said in the beginning, like her other work is goes so much in a different direction. Well, okay, it's something I cannot solve. And I think it's still okay to be excited about this book release, right? And also, I'm still going to read Harry Potter with my kids when they're old enough, because I think there is so much to be learned from Harry Potter, and it's also just an incredible joy to me. Always has been such an incredible joy to read Harry Potter, and I think it's the most comfort read for me, along maybe with Jane Austen, ever. Like every fall, I start listening to Harry Potter audiobooks and watching the movies and whatnot. So I want to see that, or experience like how my kids read Harry Potter for the first time, not knowing how the series ends, without not having read every novel like 6 times already, but discovering this magic like for the first time. This is something I've been looking very much forward to ever since I had my first little baby son, and I just hope that I'm going to enjoy that with every one of my kids eventually. So this is not an author that's going to disappear from our household, and yet I want to be more critical with her. Like, also, this series it gives me a lot of comfort to read it, and because I think J.K. Rowling is really a master storyteller in that she develops characters very well, and she can really build momentum. She can really she can write a narrative that that really draws you in, right? And that really transports you someplace else. And this is something, I think that's why I anticipated it so much. This is something that helps me tremendously with my anxiety. And this year has been the worst in terms of anxiety. This year has not been easy in that regard, as I'm sure it hasn't been for many of you. Also, those past pandemic years haven't been easy in that respect, even though for me this year was even harder with all the things going on in the world. But so I think I was so looking forward to that kind of retreat or escape. Even if now I'm taking my sweet time with reading it, but that it made me kind of gloss over other things. Maybe that's why. It's not an excuse. It's just, I think, what happened for me. I still believe in the series as such, because there are so many good things in there, right? There's not just an immersive sort of storytelling and character development and so on and so forth, the joys of a series to like see how it continues, but there's other things too that I think are important, that are depicted in there, that are talked about in there. There's a great strength in a way to the series, but it obviously also has its weak spots. So I want to be a part of this journey as it continues, and to see how this turns out and how things develop. And I don't know where this novel is going, because I've only read not even a fifth of it. I hope it's going in a good direction. I hope I'm going to be able and cheer it on. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm going to tell you in a few weeks' time. But I just wanted to say that I think that A, I really neglected like saying anything about that before, and B, I think it's okay to still be on board, for the ride, and still be critical of it. To allow yourself to still enjoy something you've enjoyed, and yet also be more on the fence, and not celebrate it regardless, but be in kind of in dialogue with that fiction, and if that makes sense to you at all. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to say about the book. Right. And And as for movies, last time I told you kind of what we've been watching, and I've forgotten one thing, and that was actually quite a moving movie. Is that right? I think it is. I watched Beast. That is a movie that I watched on Ill Prepared. I'm ill prepared today. I don't know where I watched it. Not on Netflix, but I went looking for it especially. So I found it on one of those streaming platforms. And it's with, and that's not going to be a surprise to you, Johnny Flynn. And I thought he's playing a whole different sort of character there. Much different than in Lovesick and in Emma, which I've talked about before, where I thought he was so brilliant. And here in the Beast movie, there is very little dialogue, and he plays, not very little, but not a lot, and he plays, which is a good thing because I could only watch it in German. In Germany everything gets dubbed, and I only had access to the German version, which don't ask me why, but that's what it was. And I wanted to watch it so badly that I watched the German one, the German version. Okay. And they didn't talk much, so it hardly mattered. And he plays someone who is suspected to be a serial killer, but it's not clear. And he falls in love with the female protagonist, and then she kind of protects him. And I'm not going to give away how it ends. I'm just going to say, for a good part of the movie, I didn't know where it was going, obviously. And I didn't know that I loved it. I didn't know that I enjoyed it all that much. I kept watching because it's a good movie. It's well made, but it was not necessarily all that enjoyable to me. I wanted to see Flynn's acting. That's why I watched it. And he obviously does such a good job, but still, I was not in love with it. But in the end, it picks up speed. From what I've told you about the plot, that is not at all a surprise. Like it has to pick up speed, otherwise it wouldn't really make any sense, right? But in the end, it's very well made in the sense that you get really confused as a viewer, and you're like, you don't know anything anymore. And for a while, I wondered, is she the one who killed all these women, right? And maybe she is. I'm not giving it away. I'm not giving the end away. But the end is very powerful. It's very well acted from both of the actors. I'm sorry, I cannot tell you her name now. The female protagonist's name, or the actress that's behind that. I forgot. But she does a very good job, as does Johnny Flynn, obviously. And the last kind of 2-3 scenes are just very good. They're very, very good, and they really stuck with me. And with a movie that wasn't really my sort of thing in the beginning, where I was a little unsure of whether I was actually enjoying the movie, I thought this was actually quite remarkable. The last scene, there's a very strong ending. It's a very strong ending. It's visually strong, and it's the last image, I thought, oh, that was so good. It was very well made, and it's got a good element of surprise sort of at the end. I thought it was, or maybe that's putting it a bit strongly, but maybe it's not that surprising. For me, things are sometimes surprising, and others are like, oh yeah, I saw that coming. Anyway, and that was a good movie, and I just wanted to put it out there. I watched that movie. Another Johnny Flynn movie kind of that I watched. He's just such a versatile actor. Very good. What can you say? And yeah, for the current obsession, you can laugh at me all you want, but I'm still watching Lovesick, which is the Netflix series that Johnny Flynn stars in, along with other actors. All the actors are so good. Really, they are. And I've talked about this series before, so I don't have to say much. So I've watched it, and then I've rewatched it, and now I've watched it with my husband, who previously did not really want to watch it, or I don't know, who kind of was aware of it but didn't really watch it. And now he wanted to watch it a little bit, so yes, okay, no problem. We did that, and I'm happy that I think he liked it too. It's one of the most, I say that about all kinds of stories, but I really I really mean it. Today I say that all the time, I feel like, but it's such a comfort show for me. I know this is now in the same league as Friends, Gilmore Girls, like these things for me. I'm going to rewatch this 5,000 times. I may have rewatched it close to 5,000 times now, but I'm going to go back to it definitely. And it's just so fun. It's an incredible pity that there are only 3 seasons out there and are not that long. But yeah, so that's that. I'm also currently obsessed with The Minimal Mom. If you have watched that earlier video where I talked about her, I think episode 3 maybe, that may sound familiar, or you know her on YouTube already. The Minimal Mom has a YouTube channel that is she's called Dawn. I think she is more or less exactly my age, and she has a YouTube channel all about decluttering and minimalism and getting rid of stuff, and is not, however, a minimalist in the way that makes you feel like, oh my God, I don't know that I want to live that minimally, or how can I cannot possibly boil down to this. And also I want to have more than 1 spoon and 1 fork, and which if you're living with 1 spoon and 1 fork and one set of everything, and that works for you, oh man, perfect. Like, I'm envious, but I don't think that this is us now, right? And she is such a motivator and such a fun person. And she's very much about, like, consider the season of life that you're in, right? Now you have little kids. What makes sense in your life now? Get rid of the other stuff. It's going to wait for you around the corner when you're ready, if and when you're ready for it. Don't schlep around all your stuff just in case you're going to need it, or, and so on. And she helped me. I've read many things about decluttering. I've also decluttered a lot in the past. Decluttering is something that I just really enjoy. Freeing myself of things that don't make sense in my life anymore. And like I said last time, I know this is coming from a position of privilege, that we actually have the luxury to think about whether we enjoy the stuff that we have. Is it speaks of privilege and nothing but privilege, right? I'm aware of that. And yet, you have to manage the stuff that you have, right? And to decide to not be as much of a consumer anymore, because again, we're brought up to do that and to be that and to not question that. Like, again, a structural thing, right? And I don't want all this consumption, and I don't want all this stuff, and I don't want to spend money on things that nobody needs and that only fill up my house, and so on and so forth. And she really kind of takes me through that journey now, like in earlier decluttering and my journey to minimalism phases. I've had other I don't know, guides along the way, or inspirations, or and now it's very much the Minimal Mom for me. She is such a motivator and so relatable. Like, if you're looking for someone who helps you to sort out in your mind, like, what are the things that I need in my household? What are the things that I can get rid of? How do I make it so that I don't get rid of all of the things and then I need them? How can I make it so that I'm not too radical in my journey to, like, a more simplified household? She is really the one for you, I think. Definitely go check her out. I'm very much obsessed with her channel right now. It's just so such a motivation for me to, like, watch 1 or 2 of her videos. I have them on as I go through our household and pull out a few things and reassess kind of what we need and what we don't need. And now we're at a stage where we think about not only, like, can I get rid of 10 more books, or do we need all the linen and sheets and stuff, but where we rethink entire pieces of furniture, where we're like, I would like to get rid of this cupboard do you think we need the stuff that's in there, right? So you progress through different stages of decluttering, sort of, and build decluttering muscles. And all of this is really just to always strengthen that mindset of like, do I need this, right? To be in a mindset where you don't anymore think like, oh, I need more stuff, but where you don't get the kick from buying stuff, but from letting go, where you're like, this has been in this corner for as long as I can remember, or for the last 5 or 10 years, but is this actually something that we use, enjoy, need? Right? Is all the storage space really good, or is it just like an invitation to store more stuff? And so on. So in these like things, she's very much my inspiration these days. I'm very much obsessed with her channel. And if you feel like you need a little, I don't want to say guidance, but just like inspiration or the permission to let some of the things go that you feel somehow you might want to let go, then this might be just a channel for you. So I'm going to leave it down below for you, so maybe you can get just as obsessed as I am. Again, this is a very long episode, so I'm going to cut it here and not go into questions, into Q&A. If you have questions you want to ask me, ask away in the comment section, and I'm going to collect questions as they come. And I think it might be a good idea to make a designated Q&A episode, because I feel like it's hard for me, because I'm such a talker, to squeeze in any more into these individual episodes where I talk about the knitting and the reading and all of my thoughts. And so maybe that's better, to have a designated Q&A. Yeah, I think so. And I wanted to say, a few episodes back, I told you that we've watched Uncoupled, right? The Neil Patrick Harris show on Netflix. And what I didn't say was that I kept thinking about how it reminded me of Sex and the City. Also in the way that it was fun, but kind of left me a little cold, because I've never been a Sex and the City fan, really. It's fun. It's a fun show, but it's nothing I can identify with, and nothing that unleashed any real actual feelings, really, if that makes sense to you. And it was sort of the same, if not as extreme, with Uncoupled. And I thought, that's interesting. Also, the music was so similar. Like Sex and the City has such sort of fairy tale aspect to it. And now this Uncoupled, it had a similar vibe. I cannot really explain why. I just made the connection. And I thought, this is interesting. It feels a little bit like Sex and the City for me now, years later, right? And I haven't watched the new Sex and the City thing. What's it called? And Just Like That. I haven't watched that, so I cannot say anything about that at all. But like the shows from back then and the movies, I thought this is somehow similar to me. And meanwhile, I found out that it's actually from the makers of Sex and the City. And I thought, see, I knew it. I knew that there was a connection there. It had something, I could feel it, that it was the same sort of vibe. It's a stupid word, but the same sort of energy. I don't know. See, I'm talking gibberish, but it's really just like, I sort of made that connection. I always wanted to add that on to like that tiny little review that I gave you, which basically consisted of Neil Patrick Harris has really aged so gracefully, and the show is fun but not addictive. Which I felt so bad for saying that, but it was my experience. And now you have my full review. Okay, and as I'm closing, I can only say thank you for sticking with me for another episode. If you've been here for this long, the thank yous are due and in order. Thank you for being here. Thank you for possibly coming back. Thank you for leaving a comment if you feel like it, and even a question if you feel like it or have one. Yeah, feel free to like and subscribe below. And remember that I'm going to leave the show notes right there for you. So whatever project or whatever pattern or whatever you're going to want to look up, it's going to be right there in the info box for you. If you feel at all inclined to support this podcast in any way, shape, or form, you may head over to my Ko-fi page and get me a teeny tiny coffee, or I'm going to always interpret this as like green or black tea. Don't feel at all pressured. You are more than welcome to come here and just hang with me and just listen to me ramble on about things and life and thoughts. And you can find all the information for the Ko-fi page also down below in the description box. Other than that, have a beautiful fall or a spring, depending on where you are in the world. And remember to always find something to mend instead of buying something new. I didn't talk mending today, but I hope I'm going to do that. I always want to say next week, but I think in 2 weeks' time. I thought today it would be fun to be back in a week and a half, because that might be a kind of a better rhythm, but then I'm going to be confused about when to podcast next. And also, there's a lot going on in our household. So I'll do my best to be back here in 2 weeks. I hope to see, for lack of a better word, some of you back and read your comments. I appreciate each and every comment, and I appreciate each and every subscription or like or whatever. And I'm so grateful for you being here and spending your time with me and taking time out of your day to watch this video. So thank you so much, and take care. Happy knitting, and I guess I'll see you in October. Until then, take care. Bye.